morning. Very good. My first visit to Argentina, so thank you very much for inviting me. Very impressed. Okay. My name is Andrew Holdsworth. I run the real-world performance group inside Oracle database development. I've been working with Oracle now as a company at Oracle for nearly 24 years. I think it's 24 years minus 1 week I've been doing database performance. And really, my philosophy with database performance is it's not an accident. It's not an accident that you get good performance, and it's not an accident that you get bad performance. Performance is architected in from the beginning. And today I should take the role of the system architect, and we will remind everyone the responsibilities of the system architect of what they have to do to ensure good database performance in terms of instructing developers, in terms of design, and all those sort of techniques. As you can see, I like fast cars, I like fast boats, I like fast bikes. And I spent my whole life trying to make things and myself go fast as possible.
My name's Tom Kyte. I've been an employee of Oracle Corporation for 19 years and 6 days. I can only do that in the month of August, because I joined at that point. I've been using Oracle for about 25 years. My first release was version 5.15c. You could buy that out of a magazine, and they mailed it to you on 13 5.25-inch floppy disks, double-sided, double density, if you remember those. And back then, it only cost $99 US. Right? So it still comes with the same number of disks, or DVDs now instead of floppy disks, and it costs a little bit more, but there's a lot more to it than there was 25 years ago. I come at this from more of the developer perspective. So a lot of people who have read my stuff, the columns in the magazine, the books, and Ask Tom, whatever, assume that I'm a DBA. I've never been a DBA. I never want to be a DBA. I never will be a DBA. I'm more on the development side, but I know enough about the database to be confused with a DBA, which makes me a strange developer, if you will, because many developers do not necessarily want to know too much about the database. I think if you want to build a successful performant application, you will know a lot about the database. You'll know as much about the database as you do about your
I
programming.
wonder if the guys leaving with the developers who didn't want to learn about the database. Middleware developers.
Yes. But I am curious, in the audience, how many of you would classify yourself predominantly as a developer as opposed to a DBA? Okay, that's about the smallest turnout ever. Three.
How many DBAs?
How many DBAs?
How many system architects? One.
A couple, about as many as developers, which is disappointing, because a lot of the things we're going to be talking about are things that only can be achieved from the software development side, because it's the approach that the application takes against the database that is going to make or break their performance. Now, unlike Andrew and unlike Graham, who we'll see his pictures in a minute, I don't have fast cars or anything else like that up here, but I'm all about performance too. But there are many different ways to define performance. You saw Andrew's car here. It looks like it goes pretty darn fast. My car is a high performance vehicle as well. I drive a Toyota Prius. I get 45 to 50 miles per gallon, which is very, very good. Right? And they're going to be stopping at the gas station a lot more often than I am. So keep that in mind as we go throughout the day too. If you ask 3 different people, say an architect, a developer, and a DBA, to define performance of some system or whatnot, you might well get 3 different answers from them, for the simple reason that they're looking at it from completely different perspectives. To many software developers, high performance means I can write an application this morning and have it production this afternoon. It doesn't matter if it runs fast or not. Performance to them might be the ability to get an application out there rapidly, to react to change like that. To an architect, performance is going to mean something totally different. To a DBA, something different again. And as we're going through this day, you're actually going to see us contradict ourselves as far as performance goes as well. In the morning, we're going to be talking predominantly about data warehousing, and in the afternoon, mostly about OLTP. And we're going to say the opposite of what we said in the morning in the afternoon, because the things we do in OLTP are completely different than what we need to do in warehousing.
My name is Graham Wood. I work as an architect in Redwood Shores, and like Andrew and Tom, I've been working with Oracle for a long time. I've worked for Oracle now for 26 years, and prior to that, I was actually a customer. I was a user. So I actually started using Oracle with Oracle version 2. Any other Oracle version 2 users out there? No? Okay. So, yeah.
Anybody not born when Oracle version 2?
Right. I'm sure there's quite a few. Yeah, so 26 years of Oracle makes me the senior member of this thing, or as Andrew normally says, it just makes me old. So, going fast, like Andrew, but unlike Tom, fast motorcycles, fast cars. I am a scuba diver, so the shark in the middle there. Again, it's a slightly different type of performance there. So when you're scuba diving, you don't have to outswim the shark, you just need to outswim your buddy. So that's a little bit different. So most of my time at Oracle has been spent doing performance. I've done a number of different things in performance. I ran the database development performance group for several years. I was also the architect behind AWR, and prior to that was the creator of StatsPack. So I've been very deeply involved in the diagnostic techniques that we use for doing performance analysis. So during the day, I'll be taking part of the DBA. I haven't actually been a working DBA since Oracle version 5, I guess. But I've been very involved with DBAs and the work that DBAs do, especially on the performance analysis side.
And as we're going through the day, we encourage you to ask questions. If you're not comfortable asking a question in the group, feel free to come up during the break. We usually hang around up here, and you can ask the question then. And if you think it's useful for the general audience, we just save it for the beginning of the next session. But do feel free to ask questions. Just raise your hand and interrupt us. And that's a great way to make sure that we're making sense and you're getting useful information.
Prizes for the best question today?
I don't know if we have any
There
prizes.
may be prizes for the best question.
Then again, there may not be. We'll tell you at the end of the day. But feel free to question the authority. And bear in mind that what we are going to say in the morning is going to be contradicted by what we say in the afternoon. And that's because we're going to be looking at two totally different things, data warehousing and OLTP. And this is somewhat confusing to people because they think I'm an Oracle DBA, I'm an Oracle developer, Oracle is Oracle. If I know how to use Oracle, then I'll be successful no matter what I'm doing. But these two different disciplines, that of data warehousing and that of transaction processing, are night and day different. And you need to come at it with a different mindset. And frankly, probably everyone in this room grew up or was taught how to do database stuff in a transactional system. Nobody that I know of starts work as a data warehouse engineer. You sort of come in, you work on the transactional system, you get educated, and then they throw you over into this data warehouse and say, you've been doing Oracle for 5 years, 10 years, go ahead and do this. And that's when you discover that everything you already know is useless. Or you don't discover that, and that happens more often, I think. You go in and you apply all your OLTP skills to a data warehouse and find that it performs miserably. So we're going to be doing the data warehouse stuff. We're going to be playing with a terabyte of information this morning, and we'll see how fast it can actually go.